Have you ever seen someone toss away something valuable like it was nothing? A piece of jewelry, an old watch, a rare coin discarded, forgotten, replaced by something newer, shinier? But time has a funny way of exposing what's truly valuable, because what's real can't be replaced and what's fake can't last. That's exactly what they did to you. They thought you were replaceable, like you were just another item on a shelf, something they could trade in when they got bored or found something easier, cheaper, more convenient. They thought they could just swap you out and move on like you never mattered. But here's the truth they didn't see coming. You're not replaceable. You never were. They replaced the experience, but not the connection. They replaced the body, but not the soul. They might have found someone new. They'll never find another. You see, people like that, they only understand surface level worth. They only value what's easy, convenient, and
had in you 1,000 times over and come up empty every single time. But by then you'll be long gone. This isn't your ending. This is your for awakening, the moment you stop asking, why wasn't I enough? And start declaring, I was never replaceable. Say this out loud, I was never replaceable. Go and declare it loud and clear in the comments. As our wise friend Epictetus once said, first, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. So write it in the comments. Declare your worth to the world own. It let them see that you're done being overlooked, dismissed, or swapped out. You are one of a kind. There's no substitute. And when you're at it, press that like button under this video to let the world know you've awakened, subscribe so you never forget who the hell you are. And now let's get into it. Number one, they swapped you like a disposable part. Have you ever seen someone toss a half full cup of coffee in the trash because it got cold? No second thought, no hesitation, just useless. Now that's how they treated you, like something temporary, like a tool that lost its shine, like a disposable part. They could swap out the second it didn't feel new anymore. They thought you were replaceable, like you were nothing special, just another face in a crowd, another convenience in their life. They used you until they were bored, until they found something easier, shinier, newer. You were never too much. They were never enough. They were too small to hold something as rare as you. But here's the hard truth. They didn't walk away because of you. They left because they were empty. They couldn't recognize your value because they've never known real worth. They swap people the way others swap phone cases, thinking something different will somehow make them feel complete, but it never does, and it never will. See? Shallow people chase appearances. They chase what looks good, what feels good in the moment, but real depth, real connection, that's too much work. They don't want to face themselves, so they distract themselves with someone else. You know, what's funny though, they think they won. They think walking away, ghosting you, or trading you in for someone else was their power move. But people like that don't win. They just delay their loss because you can't replace what's real with something fake and expect it to last. Time exposes all things, and sooner or later, that shiny replacement they picked will show its cracks because nothing fake stays perfect for long. I once read a story on a relationship for him. A guy bragged about leaving his long-term girlfriend for someone younger and more fun. He thought he hit the jackpot. Fast forward a year, his new relationship fell apart because there was nothing real there. Meanwhile, his ex built a life he couldn't even dream of, her own business, thriving career, a partner who truly loved her. He reached out to see how she was doing. She never replied. That's what happens when you trade authenticity for convenience. But I know what you're thinking. Why didn't they choose me? Why wasn't I enough? Stop right there. They didn't choose you because they couldn't handle you. They couldn't handle your depth, your passion, your authenticity. They weren't built for someone like you. They were built for short-term thrills, not real love. They didn't choose you because they needed something easy, and easy is cheap. And maybe deep down, they knew you'd eventually see through them. Maybe they knew you were too much of a mirror, reflecting back everything they couldn't stand about themselves. So they ran, they swapped you out before you could call them out. Here's the reality. They didn't replace you. They downgraded. They settled. They traded a masterpiece for a mass-produced copy. They might be happy for now, but time always tells the truth. Remember this, what's real is rare, and what's rare can't be replaced. They might find someone who fills the space you left, but they'll never find another. You people like them always learn too late. They think someone new can erase what they lost, but ghosts don't disappear. They haunt silently, painfully. But you know what? Their regret isn't your victory. You're not here to wait for karma or hope. They'll see the light. This isn't about making them miss you. It's about realizing you were never replaceable in the first place. This is your story now, not theirs. They lost access to you. They lost something real, and you lost nothing worth keeping. Rise, build something they could never destroy. Thrive so loudly that their memory drowns in your success. Let them sit in the mess they created while you become someone they'll never reach again. And when they finally realize what they had, it'll be too late. Say this out loud: I was never replaceable. Write it in the comments, declare it, own it. You're not someone's backup plan, their better option, or their emotional crutch. You are one of a kind, unmatched, irreplaceable, forever. Number 2, you're not a spare tire. You ever notice how people only remember the spare tire when they're stranded, broken down, stuck on the side of the road? It sits there forgotten, unused, until life falls apart. Then suddenly, it's the most important thing in the world. But once the problem is fixed back into the trunk, it goes collecting dust, invisible again. That's how they treated you. You weren't their first choice. You were their backup plan, their emotional spare tire. You were never the one they celebrated. You were the one they needed when things fell apart. You were always there, always reliable, and always ready to be used and discarded. Does that sting good? Because it's time to wake up. People like that don't want partners. They want placeholders, someone they can lean on when life gets tough, then leave behind when things start going their way. Again, they want someone who will wait silently in the background, never asking for much, never demanding respect. Someone who will be ready on demand. And you answered them, their calls, their I miss you texts, their I'm going through a rough time excuses. You let them come back again and again and again. You let them borrow your energy, your love, your trust every damn time. They came back after every breakup, every failure, every crisis, and you welcomed them. You told yourself, maybe this time will be different, but it never was, because to them, you were never the destination. You were the way out, the safety net, the person they could fall back on when the rest of their world collapsed. They only reached out when they needed something: attention, comfort, validation, a lifeline. When life was good, when things were exciting, when someone else was filling that role, you didn't exist. You were only important when, and they were desperate, sound familiar. They didn't cherish you, they used you. They didn't see you as a priority. They saw you as a solution, a temporary fix for problems they created and left you to clean up. And the worst part, you knew it. Deep down, you always knew, but you still let them back in. You still answered their calls. You still believed the lies because you hoped that maybe, just maybe this time, they would finally see your worth. But here's the brutal truth: spare tires don't get respect, they get used. No one admires a spare tire. No one loves a spare tire. They only notice it when they're stuck, when they have no other option. And once they're back on track, it's forgotten. Again, that's how they've treated you. Like something temporary, like someone replaceable, like an object meant to be used and stored away. But let me tell you something: you're not a spare tire. You're not someone's safety net, someone's just in case or backup option. You are not a plan B. You were meant to be the destination, the prize, the only choice, not something they remember. When life falls apart, you were meant to be valued, respected, cherished, but you've been waiting, hoping, sacrificing, thinking that one day they'd finally wake up and realize what they lost, but they won't, because people like that don't change. They don't wake up one day and suddenly understand real love, real connection, real value. They've built their life on taking, using, discarding. They only reach out when they're empty, when they need, when they're stranded. But who's there for you when you break down? Who catches you when you fall? Who stays when you have nothing left to give? No one, because people like them don't care about you. They care about what you can provide. They care about what you can fix. And every time you let them back in, you teach them how to treat you. You teach them that you'll always be there waiting, ready, hoping that maybe, just maybe this time they'll change, but they won't, and they never will. You can't change them, but you can change. You stop being the spare tire. Stop waiting to be chosen. Stop settling for temporary affection, recycled apologies, and empty promises. Stop being their rescue plan, their better option, their last resort. Let them sit in their mess. Let them know what it's like to be truly alone. Let them realize what it actually means to lose someone they'll never get back. They'll call, they'll text, they'll send that "I miss you" message, hoping you'll save them like you always did. But this time, you won't answer, because you've moved on. You've learned. You've finally understood your worth. You're not a spare tire. You're not their backup plan. You're not replaceable. You're the only option, the one they could never deserve, and the one they'll never get back. Say this out loud: I am not a spare tire. Write it in the comments, declare it, own it. Let them keep searching for replacements because you've already left the road behind forever. Number 3, you were never in competition. You've been living in your head like you're running a race. You didn't even sign up for comparing yourself to the people they chose over you, thinking if you'd just been prettier, smarter, funnier, more exciting, maybe then they would have stayed. You keep replaying every conversation, every memory, every mistake, like somehow you could rewrite the past if you just understood why they chose someone else. But let me hit you with the truth you've been avoiding. You were never in competition. They didn't choose you, not because you weren't good enough, but because they were never looking for anything real. They were chasing something easy, shallow, temporary, something that didn't require work depth or accountability. They weren't looking for love. They were looking for convenience. See, people like that don't choose based on value. They choose based on availability. They don't care who you are deep down. They only care what you can do for them in the moment. They pick whatever's closest, whatever's easiest to reach, whatever requires the least effort. And you were never easy. You were extraordinary. And extraordinary people aren't picked, they're earned. But here's where you got it wrong. You thought their rejection was a reflection of your worth. You thought you lost because they walked away, because they chose someone else. You thought you were in competition with whoever came after you. Like love is some kind of twisted reality show where you have to fight for a spot in their life, but it's not. You weren't in competition because they were never the prize. Let me say that again, you were never in competition because you were never competing for anything of value. You were never running a race. You were the finish line, the reward, the only thing worth having. They chose easy over exceptional. They chose temporary, thrills over permanent loyalty. They chose appearance over substance, and they didn't win. They settled. You're sitting here thinking you lost because they picked someone else. But what did they really pick? They picked instant gratification. They picked surface level comfort. They picked something replaceable. They picked less. And I know how much it hurts to see them happy with someone new. I know how it feels like a knife in the chest every time you think about them laughing, holding hands, moving on. But let me tell you something, they aren't winning. They're running from their emptiness, their insecurities, their lack of depth. They're repeating the same pattern they always have, jumping from person to person, thinking the next one will finally fix what's broken inside them, but they won't because they can't. What they don't realize, and probably never will, is that you can't replace something real with something fake and expect it to last. The truth has a way of catching up, and time exposes all lies. I remember reading a story on a relationship for form. A woman wrote about how her ex left her for someone younger and more fun. He thought he upgraded, thought he'd found something better for a while. It looked like he was living his best life until reality hit. The new person got bored, left him, and he came crawling back to the woman he'd thrown away. But by then she was long gone. That's what happens when people trade substance for surface. They always lose. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually. And you're sitting here crying over someone who was never worthy of you in the first place. Someone who was never capable of holding on to something real. Someone who only ever wanted what was easy. Stop asking yourself, why wasn't I enough? You were more than enough. They just weren't ready for more. They weren't ready for you. You were never in competition. You were never chasing them. You were never trying to win. You were the prize. And they didn't even know how to play the game. They didn't reject you. They rejected themselves. They rejected the version of themselves they were too scared to become, because being with someone like you, it requires showing up. It requires being real. It requires doing the work, and they weren't built for that. So stop comparing yourself to whoever they're with now. Stop checking their profiles, wondering what they have that you don't. They have nothing. You are unmatched, unrepeatable, unreplaceable. Let them chase after easy. Let them settle for less, because you were never in competition. You were always the exception, the one who could have been everything they needed, but nothing they deserved. And maybe one day they'll realize it. Maybe one day they'll see exactly what they threw away, but by then you'll be out of reach, a memory they can't touch, and a lesson they'll never forget. Say this out loud: I was never in competition. Write it in the comments, declare it, own it. Let them search forever, because you're already gone forever. Number 4, replacements are temporary. Greatness is permanent. Have you ever seen someone buy a cheap, flashy watch? Looks good. At first shines bright under the lights until the color fades. The band breaks and it stops working altogether. They toss it aside, move on to the next shiny thing, never realizing that while they chased temporary glamour, they missed out on timeless greatness. That's exactly what happened when they replaced you. They thought you were just another option, someone they could swap out when the thrill wore off, someone they could replace when things got too hard or too real. They thought that you were temporary because they could only see surface level value. But greatness, true greatness, can't be replaced. It lasts, it endures, it thrives even after being discarded. You are that greatness. See, temporary people don't recognize real value because they're not built to last themselves. They're always chasing the next high, the next thrill, the next better version, thinking that swapping one person for another will somehow fill the emptiness inside them, but they can't run forever. Reality catches up. They can replace people, but they can't replace experiences. They can trade faces, but they'll never find another soul that matches yours. They can try to erase you from their life, but they'll never forget the mark you left. Real greatness leaves a permanent imprint. I read this story on a relationship forum once about a woman whose ex left her for someone younger, flashier, someone who fit his perfect image. He flaunted the new relationship everywhere, acting like he'd won some prize, but time did what time always does. It revealed the truth. His new relationship fell apart within months. No depth, no trust, nothing real. Meanwhile, the woman he left behind, she rose, built her own business, found someone who valued her. Beyond appearances, a year later, the ex reached out, pathetic and regretful, asking if they could catch up. She never responded because her greatness had outgrown his existence. That's what happens when people trade real for fake. Temporary thrills fade, but authenticity, it lasts forever. They thought replacing you was their win, but replacements are temporary. Greatness is permanent. And I know right now it hurts. It feels like they won, like you lost, because they moved on so quickly, like you never mattered at all. But let me tell you something. People move fast when they're running from themselves. They replace others because it's easier than facing the truth. They lost someone irreplaceable and settled for someone forgettable. Here's the thing. Temporary people chase temporary highs. They don't commit because they're afraid of what real commitment demands: effort, consistency, growth. They replace because it's easier to start over than to fix what's broken. But you're not just another face, another option, another experience. You're one of a kind. And time will prove that, because time always does. There's a quote from Rumi that hits hard. Try to be a rainbow in someone's cloud. But let me add something. Don't be a rainbow in their cloud. Be the storm they never saw coming. You were never meant to be temporary. You were never an option. You were never something they could swap out for something better. They just couldn't see it because their vision was too shallow to recognize what's real. But one day, when all their temporary thrills have faded, when they're sitting in the wreckage of empty relationships and meaningless connections, they'll finally realize what they lost. By then, you'll be gone, unreachable, untouchable. You'll have risen. Build a life they can only dream of. Found people who see your worth from day one, not after it's too late. This isn't the end. This is your beginning. The chapter where you stop chasing temporary people and start embracing permanent greatness within yourself. You don't need their validation. You don't need their regret. You don't even need closure. Greatness doesn't wait for permission. It just keeps rising. They can replace a lot of things, but they can't replace you. They might forget your name, but they'll never forget your impact. Say this out loud. I am permanent greatness. Write it in the comments. Declare it, own it. Let them search for replacements because you've already become unforgettable forever. Number 5, rise above, don't look back. They thought they could write your story. They thought they could define your ending, decide how your life would unfold after they left, after they hurt you, after they replaced you, like you meant nothing. They thought you'd stay broken, stuck in the ruins they left behind forever, trapped in the pain they caused. But guess what? They forgot one important thing. You're the author, you hold the pen, and your story isn't over. This is where it begins, right here, right now. This is the part where you rise above. This is where you stop being the victim of someone else's narrative and become the hero of your own. No more looking back. They thought they'd leave you shattered, but broken things don't stay broken forever. They either stay down or they rise sharper, stronger, and untouchable. You're not here to stay trapped in memories, regrets, or unanswered questions. You're here to evolve. Let's be real. They didn't expect you to rise. They expected you to cling to the past, replaying every moment, wishing for a different ending. They expected you to beg for answers and wait for closure that was never coming. But you don't need closure. You don't need apologies, explanations, or second chances. You need one thing: action. Step 1, stop looking back. You can't rise if you're still chained to the past. You can't step into the future while dragging old memories like dead weight. You keep looking back, hoping to find something different, but the past isn't changing. You've been searching for answers in a story that's already been written, replaying conversations, rewriting endings in your head, thinking, what if I'd done this differently? What if I'd said that? But the truth doesn't live in what ifs, it lives in what is. Let me tell you something, looking back won't save you. It won't fix what's broken. It won't change the fact that they left, that they hurt you, that they gave up. All looking back does is keep you stuck. And for what closure you think if you just understood why they did what they did, you'd finally be able to let go. But here's the hard truth. Closure isn't given. It's taken. It's something you create for yourself when you decide you're done waiting for an explanation that will never come. Stop staring at a door that's been closed. Stop hoping they'll come back with apologies, explanations, or regret. If they wanted to fix things, they would have it. They wanted to stay, they would have. They chose to leave. Now it's your turn to choose to move forward. Looking back is self-sabotage. It's like driving a car while staring at the rearview mirror. You're guaranteed to crash. The past can't be changed, but your next move can. So stop rewinding the same painful memories. Stop giving life to something that's dead. Stop pouring energy into what's gone. Your future isn't back there. Your destiny isn't something you lost. It's something you create. The next chapter of your life starts now, but only if you're bold enough to stop looking back. Say this out loud. I will no longer live in the past. Write it in the comments. Declare it. Own it. Let the past stay behind because you're not meant to live there. It's time to rise and never look back. Ever. Step 2. Build a new vision. You've spent so much time staring at what's gone that you've forgotten what's still possible. You've been trapped in the past, replaying what should have been, what could have happened, what you thought your life was supposed to look like. But that chapter is closed. It's time to build a new vision, not based on who left, but on who you're becoming, not centered around what you lost, but on what you're about to create. Dream. Again, see, when they left, they didn't just walk away from you. They walked away from every future version of you. They didn't just lose the person you were. They lost the person you were becoming. But you still have the pen in your hand. You still have the power to rewrite the ending they thought they could control. Right now, you're standing at a crossroads. You can either stay stuck in the shadows of what's gone, or you can step into the light of what's coming next. Your future isn't decided by the people who left. It's decided by what you choose to create. Start small. If you have to set new goals, take action, even if it's one small step at a time. Get that degree you always wanted. Start that business, apply for that dream job, travel, try new things, reclaim your future. Stop thinking about the life you lost and start imagining the life you're about to build. Create a future so big, so bold, and so powerful that even you can't believe what you've accomplished. Let me hit you with a truth. They're not coming back. But guess what? You're not waiting anymore. Your story isn't over. It's just getting started. Visualize a version of yourself that is untouchable, unshakable, unstoppable. Picture a life so full of purpose, love, and success that nothing from the past can ever shake your foundation. Again, stop hoping for the future and start creating it. There's a quote from C.S. Lewis that hits hard. You are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream. It's time to dream differently. Dream bigger, dream without limits. Say this out loud. I am building a new vision for my life. Write it in the comments. Declare it, own it. Your past doesn't define you, but your future belongs to you. Start building right now. Step 3, upgrade your circle. Look around you. Who's in your circle right now? Are they building you up or breaking you down? Are they fueling your fire or dousing it with doubt? Because let me tell you something real. You will only rise as high as the people you surround yourself with. You can't. So with anchors chained to your feet, you can't reach your potential. With energy drainers, manipulators, and doubters holding you back, you've been loyal to the wrong people for far too long. People who only show up when they need something, not when you do. People who disappear the second things get tough. It's time to upgrade your circle. Stop clinging to people just because you've known them forever. History doesn't equal loyalty. Stop keeping people around because you're scared of being alone. Loneliness is better than fake company. Let me be clear, not everyone deserves access to you. Real ones stay real ones, show up. They push you, challenge you, inspire you, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. If they're not clapping for you when you win, cut them off. If they're not lifting you up when you fall, cut them off. If they're only there when they need something, cut them off. Your growth requires sacrifices. That means letting go of people who've been holding you back, and it's not personal, it's necessary. Imagine trying to run a race, carrying dead weight. You'll never win. You'll never rise. Upgrade your circle with people who see your potential, not just your past, people who celebrate your progress, not just your struggles, people who push you forward, not pull you down. There's a quote by Jim Rand that says, "You who are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with," let that sink in. Look at your circle. Are they helping you rise or keeping you stuck? Be brave enough to let go of the ones who no longer align with your future. Be bold enough to choose yourself. You deserve a circle that reflects your greatness. Say this out loud. I only surround myself with people who push me higher. Write it in the comments, declare it, own it. You're not here to settle for half-hearted support or fake loyalty. Upgrade your circle and rise. Now step 4, create, don't wait. Stop waiting. Stop sitting there hoping for something to happen, for life to change, for opportunities to fall into your lap, for someone to come back and fix what they broke. That's not how greatness is built. You can't wish your way to success. You create it. You've been stuck in waiting mode for too long, waiting for the right time, the right circumstances, the right person, but the right time isn't coming because the right time is now. You think you need to be ready. You think you need to have it all figured out before you take that first step, but readiness is a lie. No one's ever fully ready. The difference between people who rise and people who stay stuck is simple. They create even when they're scared. Think about this: seeds don't wait for the perfect weather to grow. They break through the soil regardless. They push through darkness, cold, and uncertainty until they reach the light. That's what you need to do. Push forward even when you're unsure, even when you're scared, even when it's uncomfortable. Start now, even if it's messy, even if it's small, even if it feels like nothing is happening. Progress is progress. You've been sitting on dreams that could have changed your entire life. That book you've been meaning to write, start it. That business idea you keep thinking about, launch it. That degree you've been putting off, enroll. Stop waiting for approval. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the right moment. Create your moment. There's a quote by George Bernard Shaw that hits hard. Life isn't about finding yourself. It's about creating yourself. Be the creator of your life. Don't wait for someone to give you an opportunity. Build one. You've waited long enough. You've sat on the sidelines watching other people live the life you've been dreaming about. You've wished, hoped, prayed, but now it's time to move. There's no perfect time. There's no perfect opportunity. There's only right now. Say this out loud. I create my own future. Write it in the comments, declare it, own it. You're not waiting for anything anymore. Create, move, building, rise now. Step 5, turn pain into power. Pain is a forge. It's the place where the weak are broken and the strong are built. You've been hurt, betrayed, abandoned, but that wasn't the end of your story. That was the beginning. Your pain is not your prison. It's your power. You've spent too much time running from it, hiding from the memories, burying the heartbreak, pretending you're fine, but pain doesn't disappear. It waits and it demands a purpose. You can let it consume you, or you can use it to become unstoppable. The people who hurt you, they thought they broke you. They thought the damage they caused would leave you permanently shattered. But guess what? Shattered things can be reforged into something unbreakable. Feel that ache in your chest, that burning anger in your soul. Good. That's your fire. That's the fuel they handed you when they walked away, when they betrayed you, when they made you feel like you were nothing. But here's the truth they never saw coming. You are forged in fire, and fire doesn't fear the flames. You don't rise despite your pain. You rise because of it. Pain is power in disguise. It sharpens you, strips away the lies, and leaves you with only the truth. You survived every betrayal, every sleepless night, every tear. You're still standing stronger, wiser, tougher. There's a quote by Viktor Frankl that cuts deep. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. You can't change what happened, but you can change how it ends. You can let the pain define you, or let it dry you. Let it become your greatest weapon. I remember reading a story on a forum about a woman who was blindsided by her partner's betrayal. After a decade together, she lost her home, her job, and her sense of identity, all in one brutal blow. But she didn't stay down. She turned her pain into power. She built a business from scratch, got back on her feet, and became someone so strong her past couldn't touch her anymore. That's what happens when you stop running from the pain and start using it. When people hurt you, they give you power, even if they don't realize it. They hand you the tools to become the version of yourself they were never ready for. They thought you break, but they didn't know you were a weapon in the making. Remember this: pain builds empires. If you let it, stop seeing your past as something to escape, face it, feel it, use it. Channel every ounce of pain into your hustle, your passion, your purpose. Turn it into greatness. They thought they could destroy you. They thought they could erase you. But your comeback will be your revenge, not through bitterness, but through success, power, and unstoppable growth. Say this out loud: I turn my pain into power. Write it in the comments, declare it, own it. Stop surviving. Start rising now. Step 6. Never apologize for rising. People will be shocked by your comeback. They'll say you've changed. They'll be uncomfortable when they can't recognize the version of you they thought they broke good. You don't owe anyone an explanation for how you choose to rise. You don't need to apologize for becoming unstoppable. You're not here to make others comfortable. You're here to be great. They thought they could define your story. They were wrong. This is where you rise. This is where you become everything they said you couldn't. This is where you prove to yourself that your life is yours to create. No more looking back, no more holding on, no more staying stuck. You're not their leftover memory. You're not someone's option. You're not defined by how they treated you. You are power. You are unstoppable. You are the author of your future. Say this out loud: I rise above. I never look back. Write it in the comments, declare it, own it. Let the past stay where it belongs, behind you. The only thing left to do now: rise and never look back. Ever so, folks, they thought they could define your story. They thought they could break you, replace you, leave you stuck in the wreckage they caused. They expected you to stay hurt, stay waiting, stay powerless. But they were wrong. You are unstoppable. You are more than their lies, stronger than their betrayal, greater than their absence. Everything they did to tear you down, it only built you up. You've been through hell, but hell didn't win. You're still standing, and now you're rising, not out of hate, not out of revenge, but out of power. The power they never saw coming. The power they thought they took away. But your story isn't over. It's just getting started. No more looking back, no more waiting, no more settling. You were meant for more. You were built for greatness. And from this moment forward, you take the pen back. Say this out loud: I rise, I rebuild, I become unstoppable. Write it in the comments, declare it, own it, let them watch, because you're not coming back. You're rising, and they'll never reach you